Shall we begin? We are on live right now. Okay, so I'll start and good morning, everyone. It is an honor and privilege for me to. We are on live right now. Just 1 second. I guess there is. Yes, it is echoing now. Again, let me join you back. Good morning, everyone. It is my honor and privilege for me to welcome you all to this expert group meeting on today's webinar of Series 2. The end of the office, will we ever go back? I heartily welcome our panelist and our moderator for today's program. I am Michelle Khanna. I have 11 years of experience as a human resource professional and initiated L2S Virtual Learning Connect, whose objective is to bring together all the professionals and students under a single umbrella, where we all are working together to achieve excellence, sustainable economic and social progress. This unique series of this webinar is designed to provide you a platform to connect with like-minded peers at an early stage of your multiple careers in different sectors. Hear invaluable insights from senior professionals on career advice during these uncertain times and discover how best to support your organization as the coronavirus pandemic unfolds. Before we get started, I would like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's webinar. You will have the opportunity to submit text questions to today's guest by typing your questions into the chat option. You may send in your questions at any time during the webinar. We will collect these and address them during the Q&A at the end of today's session. I request you to please type Q before typing questions. I again say, I request you to please type Q before typing your question. Kindly register yourself to all our social channels: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. You can find our account by the name of L2S World. Soon the links would be shared to you all in your chat box. If you want to get free knowledge and job updates, you can join our Telegram channel by the name of Leaders to Success. I again welcome our panelist and our moderator for today's program. The introduction of the speaker is given by our moderator, Shivani. As personally, I'm a big fan of all these power-packed personalities. So I want to say few words about them. So I can't able to, hold myself. Lavkesh sir, who is my first corporate guru when I did my role as an HR at HCL under you. I was so fresh at skills and always scared what, how, when. How can I do that? However, you always make it easy and help to the core to learn and grab the best knowledge I can. It was rather still my privilege to know since long and learn the HR skills and trust everyone. He is still the same. One call to him, he takes out the time and explain you in details with same energy and positivity the way he did a decade ago. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks for coming on this platform for me.
That was mine. That was mine.
Thank you, sir. Okay, now I move on to my another favorite one, Debjani ma'am. I met this lady in the year 2019 at Sharda University at a program on HR, and the way she delivered the concept on analytics and the future demand, we all HR professional was so clear that what exactly is missing in us and where we now need to enroll ourselves. Not only as a leader, she is a fantastic soul who always delivers her best to counsel and guide you. She is the master to win your heart with just one meeting with a positive and beautiful smile. Thank you so much, Debjani ma'am. Thank you so much for coming in just one call. I'm so glad. I'm so honored for that.
Very kind words, Michelle. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Runa ma'am, one of my favorite person. What I can say about this power-packed woman, she is fantabulous, jolly, fun, and always ready to help. I met her through a common friend, Hirish, and I am so glad to know her. She is brilliant, innovative in her thoughts and ideas, a fantastic soul who not only helped the women in a society, but marked as a vision of her to make it more brighter as she runs a NGO also, which you will soon get to know from Shivani. I don't want to say more about it because Shivani's duty is to introduce all the guests. I'm so glad to have you here, ma'am. And the guidance which you have given me, I can never ever forget that. I am so honored to have you here. Thank you so much, Runa ma'am. Thank you so much. Okay.
I'm wondering, Michelle, about whom you're speaking right now.
I'm speaking about you. It's you. You are the one who is the one who have break down the privilege that women cannot empower other women. You are the live example that you let other people also win the game. And I'm so glad to associate with you. It's my honor for that.
Thank you.
Okay, about Rashmi. It is my pleasure to let you know about this woman of achievement. It is my privilege to learn so much from her. She is superb, a fantastic lady who knows all the secret of success. No matter just a one single call, and she is so stuck with her work. I'm so glad that you had made out a time and present yourself here and listen to me all my level. I mean, we just met once, and I'm so glad that you are here. I'm so honored. I'm so touched. Thank you so much, Rashmi, for giving us this platform to share your views to each and every person.
Thanks so much for your kind words.
Thank you, Rashmi. Now, I should not take much of your time. I would now to introduce Ms. Shivani Sharma. I met Shivani professionally, but she is a great friend now. She has 15 years of experience as a corporate trainer, and currently she is associated with AKTU affiliated college as an assistant professor and provides soft skills training to law, pharmacy, management, and engineering students. Welcome, Shivani, and thank you for joining us as a moderator. Over to you.
I heartily thank Ms. Michelle Khanna for providing us this webinar, which helps all of us to connect under one platform and give us a chance to gain the best knowledge and learning via this medium. I would welcome all our guests and now like to introduce our first speaker, Ms. Devjani Roy. She is an industry stalwart and domain expert in the field of human resource with over 25 years of hardcore functional experience across companies such as Nalco, Bharti, HCL Check, Bentley System, CUNY, SRL Diagnostic, Fortis Group, etc. Till March 2019, her last full-time assignment was with SRL Diagnostic as CHRO, where she was the HR strategic partner at the board. With a degree in the organization behavior from FMS Delhi University over her career span, she has earned an established reputation of being one of the most progressive HR business leaders, having provided transformative people leadership across industries. Awarded many a times among us the business and HR fraternities as one of the country's most dynamic HR managers. Devjani has lately branched out on her own and chosen the advisory and mentor role for herself going forward. Currently, besides the chief HR advisor to Mind Your Fleet, a reputed software startup in the transportation space, Devjani runs her own HR solutions and advisory firm called Beneath the Wings Venture LLP. Devjani is also a visiting professor to a number of reputed B schools, besides being on the jury of a large number of schools and colleges for the incubation labs. Devjani, besides the TEDx, is also a sought-after speaker at various forums, an author and education activist, as well as coach and mentor to large number of students in the current academic space. Social mentoring is Devjani's current passion, both in the corporate and academic domains, with a special focus on the women. Thank you so much for joining us today, ma'am. Our second speaker for today's webinar is Ms. Runa Mehta. She is a business and human resource management leader for 2 decades in multiple sectors, such as IT, ITS, NBFS, manufacturing and retail in India, US, and UK. She is the founder of People Talent International. It enables startups to build HR products, process, and people. SMEs to scale up with the expertise to build capability through business transformation, project for both corporate and academia for business growth, ensuring agile workforce, productivity, quality, cost effectiveness to impact profit. She is also an advisory board member of Jaipuria, APJ, Geeta Ratan, IMS Engineering, OP Jindal College. She is also founder of NGO Women of Substance. India promotes girl child education, women empowerment, advisor, TDR and Pure India Trust support skill build. She is a winner of Top 50 HR Influencer 2019 of SHRM, APAC MENA, Top 30 Social Media Influencer 2019 SHRM, 101 Women Social Media Influencer 2015 and 16, Top 100 Innovation HR Leader 2017 and 2018 by World HRD Congress. Thank you so much for joining us today, ma'am. Our next speaker for today is Mr. Lavkesh Kundra. He is a human resource specialist with 25 plus years of experience, majorly with international technology, IT, ITS, BPO, real estate, telecom, services, and manufacturing industries. He dealt with almost the entire gamut of HR activities, right from recruitment, induction, orientation, employee engagement, including R&R, skip-level meetings, imbibing a culture and trust and transparency, T&D, PMS, CNB certification, HR consulting, and exit management. His overall objective is to increase the productivity on the floor by optimum utilization of skills and competencies and ensure that an organization are geared up to take new heights. His major strength is when people recognize him as a person with matured brain on young shoulders and go-getter attitude with 24/7 smile always makes him self-encouraged and others as well. Thank you so much, sir, for joining today in today's webinar. And our last speaker for today's Ms. Rashmi Sharma, AVP HR Digital Transformation and Innovation at Genpact. She started her career with banking industry. This insatiable guest to explore new and challenging propelled her movement to telecom, where she handled a series of different portfolios, ranging from operations head in customer service to trade promotion head in sales and distribution. In almost all the profiles she handled, she always found herself involved people and organization development, sometimes directly as part of her KI and sometimes indirectly as an internal consultant to the function. Soon she realized that her passion to learn and explore, desire to disseminate the acquired knowledge and an instinct to link it back to business offered her perfect reason to migrate to people development space from business operations. And here she is handling the most strategic AI-based reskilling initiative at Genpact. Thank you so much, Rashmi, for joining us. Today's topic, the end of office. Will we ever go back? In only a few months, the coronavirus pandemic has upended the daily lives of people around the world. The virus has led to new categorization of essential workers, a large-scale move to remote work, and high unemployment that is expected to continue increasing. And amid stay-at-home orders across the country, office workers have ditched their daily commutes to work from dining room tables, couches, and beds in their own homes. Many may find themselves in this situation for the long haul as businesses struggle to find a path forward with restrictions slowly lifted. I request my panelists to let us know your views and find out this pandemic could forever transform the way we work. Devshani ma'am, Runa ma'am, or Lavkesh sir, as well as Rashmi ma'am. Thank you so much for your inputs. My first, thank you ma'am.
Thank you, Shivani. Since I heard my name being taken first, I assume that I can start it off.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So, yes, you're right. I think the COVID-19 has actually created unprecedented kind of changes in the workspace and in the corporate world. And we probably are not far away from speaking the truth if we say that we'll probably never go back to being what we used to be in the pre-pandemic era. That is not to say that the office space will not be back. I don't think I am a believer of the fact that we can completely do away with the office spaces completely, because it will be completely dependent on the nature of business, the kind of industry. So there's going to be quite a lot of differentiation that's going to come about. But yes, where remote working and where the digital nomad factor can work today, I think we will be looking at those industries to probably roll back into setups where infrastructure is going to be minimum and where remote working will actually come to stay in large ways than one. Obviously, to start off, I just want to touch upon the fact that while we are talking about these new ways of workforce management and the new ways of working, as we are talking about, there are both the pros and the cons of of doing it this new way. And I'm sure in the course of the discussion, we will touch upon those advantages and disadvantages as we go along, because there's a lot to consider before we actually conclude that whether it was better off in the pre-pandemic era where the physical presence of the workforce was probably the mainstay of the whole ethos of working, or whether it's going to be a hybrid version that is going to be there in the tomorrow world, which is going to be part of the digital space being occupied by remote workers, and part, of course, the need for some vocations and some skill workers to come back to the office space. So, because I personally don't foresee an eventuality where we are going to be completely doing away with offices. So, if the topical question is that will we ever go back to offices, I think yes, but in a different way, in a different shape. I think the whole scheme of things will be different. Companies will have to evolve into doing things differently. Workforce will have to learn to involve into work in a different manner, and it has to be a learning period during which both these entities will have to find a win-win in the hybrid model. So these are my opening remarks.
Very
Thanks.
true. Very true. Thanks for bringing that perspective, Devjani. And I completely second whatever Devjani has said. So, in the world of social distancing, many of the world's office workers have not seen their desks for weeks. But when coronavirus lockdown finally eases, there may be fewer desks to return to. Facing a sudden need to cut costs, chief executives have they have indicated in recent days that their property portfolios look like good places to start, to give an ease with which their companies have adapted to remote setups. I mean, the notion of putting 7,000 people in a building may be a thing of the past. Maybe we don't need all the offices that we currently have around the world. As we know, UBS is already thinking about moving out of expensive city center offices. And there was a PwC survey which was done last week that found that a quarter of chief financial officers were already thinking of cutting back on real estate. While the Site Selectors Guild, whose members help companies locate new buildings, said half of the offices globally, the office searches had been put on hold since the crisis hit. I mean, in 6 weeks, we have taken, they have taken almost entirely the back offices of corporates and moved them to kitchens and living rooms. And it's been pretty seamless. People are getting used to it. I mean, all of us have experienced that. The stray dog or the kid wandering into the conference call is now accepted in corporate. IT consultancy, Infosys says that it has been easy to book in clients for video conferences from home. And even that has been our experience at Genpact also. Many chief executives also seem not to miss the office. Even we have been so much more connected. And when I say we, I mean at Genpact, we have been more connected to 110,000 employees in the last six weeks than we have in the last 6 months, thanks to the technology we are using. It had been easy for us to book in clients for video conferences from home rather than having to travel to meet them. We see little need for our employees to rush back, and that is, I think, the general sentiment across all corporates. Organizations are really finding working from home energizing and expecting it to herald a permanent change. When I say a permanent change, I just want to put it in quotes, bold, highlight, and underlined. That, permanent change to their working practices. If I can quote the former WPP chief executive, he has already started ending leases at some of the sites. They feel that they would much rather invest the dollar value. And this is, again, all the corporates, most of them, if you read through the HR updates, you will see that they would much rather invest the dollar value in people rather than expensive offices. So that is an alarming message for commercial property executives, but have been loudly casting doubt on the sustainability.
Well, I mean, I would second the opinion to what my analyst colleagues have just shared, but I have a little, different opinion onto this. See, first of all, I do not think that this particular situation will go long. This is definitely a temporary phase. Yes, undoubtedly, organizations from an employer's perspective are saving a lot of money. Yes, with your there are, rents, and there are some costs which is associated when the employee comes to the office. But from an employee's standpoint, please understand. I just basically take it a little back. That once this particular pandemic situation actually arises in India, say in March, once we had the lockdown 1.0, people, employees' standpoint, people were taking it, just as in a picnic. People actually enjoyed it. Really, they're having a lot of fun because they were, sick and tired of moving to the office, going to the office every day. Situation came when the lockdown 2.0. Situation was a little difficult for the people because those who were habitual of going to the office on a day-on-day basis, it was too urgent task for them to digest the work from home. Obviously, there were a lot of pressures from a family, and of course there were some pros and cons which I would not like to discuss out here within the family, which created a lot of disturbances. Once we are talking about the globalization aspect, we have to understand whether or not should we go back to office. I personally feel from an employee perspective, it is definitely going to be a little challenging. Yes, this particular work from home policy, probably I personally been advocating it since long, and it's been last 2 years. I personally been working as just twice a week. I go to the office, and twice a day, twice a week, days in a week, I work from home. But parallelly, it depends on the nature of responsibilities from a person to person. It cannot be just all across the employees. Be it, we will be saving cost from an administration, procurement, because there are a lot of savings from that particular perspective. But my strong view is, my statement, yes, this is a temporary phase. Might in the 2 months, 3 months, 4 months down the line, situation is going to be as normal as earlier it used to be, and people are going to be back to the normal life. This is not the normal life people are living. From the ages back, we are habitual of moving, getting up in the morning, getting ready to the office, and of course, juggling with the traffic, and also just reaching to office. And the interaction, face-to-face interaction, makes hell of a difference. I'm sure Runa ma'am would basically agree to this because we personally have seen those things. Might, of course, our interaction to the office was a very minimal stage, but anyway, personal interaction makes things lot easier, and even situation over the phone, like we are interacting, we are not having a feel of each other. It's not that we can get to solutions on the table. When we actually people meet over a fag or a tea or coffee, outside the office, many quick decision happens. I'm sure you all will agree.
Yeah, we agree to it. Yes, we agree. Most of us have now experienced the inefficiencies also of working from home and miss the connectivity and productivity an office environment provides. The daily
Yeah.
work environment, the daily work environment, the daily interaction, the social energy that's created, that makes working for a company part and parcel of why you want to get up every day and give it your all. You just can't replicate working from home. We completely agree to that. At least in the short term, the need for social distancing is actually reversing the commercial real estate's densification trend, which for years saw more people crammed into smaller spaces. I mean, that is another side, or I should say, the another facet of this entire, the current day situation, which has been put forth us because of the pandemic. So there was an inflection point which was reached where the customers with dense layout, we had customers with dense layouts, and now what is happening is that we are removing workstation and will return to work in a less dense environment if ever we get a solution and we want to. So that is very aspiring. I think all of us now really want to go back to that environment where we could peacefully work in our space. There are people around to interact with. But
Rashmi, just to add,
I think
yeah,
before we
sorry.
actually take the advantages and disadvantages, as I had said in my opening statement, let's hear Runa, because we are setting a context for this entire discussion, and it's very important to at least lay the exact space that each one of are in. So, Runa, all yours.
Thanks, Devjani. I was enjoying all the conversation and glad to meet you after so long, rather
So long,
e-meet you.
yes.
And
Though
we know,
virtually now.
yeah, but we share stages all the time, and it's
Yes,
so beautiful to share even each stage. I think,
absolutely.
honestly, I'm hearing all your views and amazing, because these are personal experience. And first of all, it's very important to relate to the whole context as an individual,
Yes.
as an organization, as a society. I think overall perspective, if you consider, there are a lot of impact which is coming economically, physically, psychologically, socially, and also tremendous work is happening on mental health. Why that is happening? Because our generation, Lavkesh, even if you're much younger than me, we have worked together, and Devjan is a great friend of mine, and Rashmi I see as a very vibrant leader, as a women leader, as part of us in the conversation. What I find, and completely, I'm very disruptive, and I always think, probably, as you rightly said, Lavkesh, a little, maybe with a different perspective. Um, Considering a different generation, our generation, our previous generation, we are not talking about at all. I'm not talking about baby boomers at all here. I'm talking about Gen X and Gen Y. We have undergone massive changes already, and I think there is a fatigue. There is a kind of maybe ability to accept change. That is where little bit of resistance, a little bit of consideration is coming. Look at the youth. I mean, I have a youth at home, my son, he's extremely comfortable doing his work, and also play games by Pokemon and all, and also go out for his walk. He's doing his every morning workouts. uh, if I consider this generation, our new generation and coming generations ability to accept this environment, I think totally different than ours. Where really change maybe academia. Like, good, you spoke about our academia background. Devjani teaches a lot in many colleges, and in fact, you both, Lavkesh, Rashmi, you might be also connecting to people as guest lecture. Yes, we if we look at academia, that's where the biggest impact happened. They never considered beyond a classroom. So when they came on to this digital space, they actually initially grappled. I heard a lot from my colleagues as a freelancer. I could quickly move to online, but the amount of change they had gone through and the quest for classroom is still so much there, because they want to actually see their students in front of them, and they cannot imagine, as Devjani was mentioning, about hybrid culture, like 30% of students in the class in front of them and rest of them online. This is beyond imagination of a professor. Whereas if you look at us, I started my outsourcing career, ITS career in 2000. I think I never missed anything now, because online conversation being part of 24 by 7 happened 2 decades ago. So where is the question of being uncomfortable? I was in Converges. I remember getting calls at 3 a.m. in the morning, because we grew from 700 to 10,000 people, 18 hours of work. So now, if you're talking about a 9 to 5 job, Rashmi referred about CNBC reports. Excellent reports have come on this work from home. So it's one of the thing. The stat it gives is that how our work time from 9 to 5 is increased minimum by 20%. Now, are we accepting that this structure which we have morning to evening, support, domestic support, or our ability to look into our own fitness, because we need that, environment and ecosystem to work well, to be productive, to ensure also work with team. Like Lavkesh, you talked about missing personal touch. Honestly, I don't have time to think about it, because morning till night things are lined up, even on Sundays. So what is happening? We are not even getting time to think. Possibly that is where the fatigue will happen. That is where the quest for coming to, a physical environment, even for that travel time we had. Even I'm from Delhi, and this Delhi to Gurgaon, Delhi to Noida, Delhi to anywhere, I think always I come back 25 kilometers. So 2-3 hours travel time, if not more. I think all that is a mix of consideration, and I'm sure Shivani has loads of questions for us to on those lines. Let's deliberate more whether work from home desirable. Is it sector by sector? Is it role by role? Or is it a blanket kind of conversation we are having? I think it would entail some pros and cons for each segment of roles we play, and if it's sectors which is actually being seen as part of this world, maybe our views and our experience are, or maybe some recommendation will be valid for that. So I actually give it to Shivani. How do you want to take it forward?
Thank you so much, Runa ma'am. And I must say, like we have discussed about, like the pros and cons of working remotely. And what I believe is difficult roads. Difficult roads always leads to beautiful destination. So that's what we are facing right now. And let's move on to question round. My first question is for Devjani ma'am. More people working remotely, companies may open regional hubs or provide access to co-working spaces wherever their workers are concentrated rather than have the majority of their workforce at one central office. As a result, corporate headquarters may become a status symbol. So, is it the time has come when working in an office could become a status symbol, ma'am? So, ma'am, we would like to hear your inputs.
Very, very interesting paradigm. Let me take you back to, I would say, the year 1989. Okay. No, 1999, sorry. And I was at that point of time, a corporate manager in a company called Bharti Telecom. I'm talking about a stage in Bharti where, they were still not considered the telecom kings. They were very much in the making of it. They had launched their Airtel services. They were getting into landline telephony. They had launched VSAT, the first internet, Mantra Online, if you remember those days back. And it was an absolute hub of doing things differently. And I was very fortunate to have got associated with an organization like Bharti at that point of time, because just as Bharti was evolving its corporate model as it went from step to step, I think each one of us were also getting exposed to new models of structuring and restructuring of the organization sector itself, so that the workforce were actually deployed in multiple ways. It was not a straight-laced kind of structural configuration that generally organizations talk about, where hierarchies would be defined and every unit would fall in line with that. And why year 1999 was significant is we launched our first telephony services overseas in a very small island country called Seychelles. Apart from being a paradise on earth, which was obviously a point of interest to us who at least managed to visit that place on work, the CEO of that company used to come to attend work in Bermudas, because the culture of the place was like that. Okay, that was the starting point. Second, when you talk about a corporate office, the Seychelles operation did not have a corporate office to start with, because the CEO at that time, Mr. Neeran Chibbar, he was very clear that Delhi has enough of real estate for Bharti to call its corporate. I don't want to add to the concrete, steel and glass. So what he used to do is they used to have absolutely non-structured cafeteria-based working areas. And when they had to have board meetings, they would probably hire a boardroom of one of the a 7 or 8 scale top-notch properties in terms of hospitality, and Mr. Mittals and everybody would fly out from here. So I'm talking of a time when remote working, collateral working, non-structured working was already a very much a part of the working system, though not a part of the mainstream. Then we moved on to ITS. I had wonderful stints both in HCL Tech for a reasonable amount of time, and then moved on to a completely niche IT company called Bentley Systems, which I had the good fortune to actually completely start up from scratch. and built it up from 75 people in India to 3,600 people with SDCs put in place. It was wonderful to see the kind of remote working that was happening, because Bentley was in niche software. It was patented products, and most of the work was actually across geographies and done in remote working space. So only thing is, in India, when we were hiring in India, however, the same norms of trying to recruit from the age-old basis was still in continuity, because the thought of having somebody work out of home on a permanent basis was still a sort of an anathema. It was only considered in extraordinary circumstances. But across the globe, across geographies, it was still considered very much a part of the ongoing system. So the whole idea of holding on to concrete as, my identity, which is with an office space, there has to be a brick and wall, there has to be a cubicle and a place to sit out and a desk to call my own. I think these were concepts which were related to, the whole idea of it's like a social syndrome in India. After a GM you become a VP, after a VP you become a director. Just like that's considered to be a social norm, when you walk into an office, if you don't have a cabin to call your own, you've not arrived in life. That was typically what was thought of in those times. Well, I am at least glad that we have made a shift from that to today considering work to be of more importance than possibly those contours. Now, while I say that, I obviously say it with a certain amount of caution, because unfortunately, we did not adapt to these new norms on our own. We got sort of pushed into it. While some of the organizations were taking mini steps, the kind of, work from home, the remote working, we started talking about digital nomads who were absolutely fantastic at doing project work, living out of, suitcases, as we call them, and did phenomenal work. It was still very much a rarity, and they were definitely a minuscule population. But the pandemic and the way it hit us, and the completely new ways that we started facing with social distancing and other health concerns being thrown at us, I think it became a reality faster than what we probably would have thought about. So there was a time, let's say even a year back, when agile HR or artificial intelligence or machine learning or Internet of Things were still very much debatable questions or debatable topics in seminars and what have you. But today, companies are actually leaping to adopt some of that. Companies are evaluating those things, because we are fast moving into a different genre of working completely. And the faster we adapt ourselves, it'll be better. So yes, from that perspective, I think it's more in the mind. The fact about a corporate office is the biggest shine of a corporate probably will no longer be something which we in mind are going to hold dear to us. But having said that, in actual terms, there may still be need for a corporate office, though in smaller size and shape. It will change its ways, but there might be a register, because we do have registered office fundamental requirements in our country. In our law of the land states that. Therefore, we will have some things like that, but not in terms of the typical work areas. One other issue I'd like to talk about here is, it's easy to talk about corporates in terms of the brick and mortar. But I think what is more important for me as an individual is to consider an organization not of brick and mortar, but of people, actually living, breathing people. Those are the ones who actually create an organization. Now, we need to possibly, as Runa nicely touched upon towards the end of what she said, we need to be a little more careful about probing deeper into what is in it for us if we actually throw a whole lot of people into remote working. Will we actually benefit from higher productivities, or will we face more concerns such as psychological isolation, which we are seeing in people today, people being left alone, people not being able to relate to each other, people feeling completely isolated. It's almost like, I'm alone in an island in the middle of an ocean. I'm not able to actually see, because in the eastern part of the world, we are a touch feel culture. So it's important, it's very, very important that we retain some nuances of that, because otherwise we will possibly cut all roots and we will not be able to relate to each other very well. And those kind of things will lead to things like mental and, ill health and considerations of such. So we need to be a little cautious about only being concerned about brick and mortar, but more about the human emotion and the touch feel aspect of it. Thank you.
Very interesting point brought forth, Devjani, and completely agree. The office would have a future, albeit in different forms. And as people have already started saying that this is the new normal, we have to bear in mind also that there are some people struggling to juggle childcare or homeschooling. The other day we were having a presentation from one of the vendors on IT transformation project, and then she was fantastic while she was presenting, but she was very distracted because she had a 2-year-old child, and she was not hesitant in admitting it in front of the entire panel of senior executives that this is a big challenge that she's facing at home. There are few people who are schooling with their day jobs, and there are few junior colleagues who are sharing flats who think this is nothing short of nightmare. And some companies report a shortage of even perspex that can be used to separate desks, while the prices of masks and other safety equipments have risen sharply. So it's a mishmash of so many different variables to a definite why and output. So in pockets, people are talking about staggered returns and shift work, possibly spread over a 7 days working week with offices only half occupied to ensure sufficient distance between the colleagues. But then at the same time, that will present issues many people have not considered. You shouldn't hit an elevator button, you can't touch a metal door, you can't share the same coffee pot with people. There needs to be a whole new protocol regarding returning to a safe, healthy workplace. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving a nice elaboration about the corporate concept. And this pandemic basically has given a clear picture that whatever happens, but show must go on. So we have a way that we are working from home. Yes, there are, as you mentioned about the psychological isolation. Yes, there are problems also, but of course, being a human being, it's our responsibility to overcome all those obstacles and to move ahead. Thank you so much. My next question is for Rashmi ma'am. We have seen people have been more patient in learning new technologies and engaging with them simply because they have had to, as they have no other option. Expecting a generally more agile way of working and communicating with colleagues, more meetings will become emails and more emails will become instant message. For team members who no longer work together, in a central office, phone calls and meetings may move to video. So, ma'am, please share your views that we are moving to or move to industry 4, where most meetings would be replaced by small and IM. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. And definitely, I think yes, that is the new space we are entering into. And as there are different skill set at different points in time which we require for the present age where we are thriving. We believe that learning agility is one of the most important survival skills as on date. So you need to learn very fast. You need to move and adapt, and the transition which we are seeing is tremendous. So since last 10 days we have been using the acronym VUCA, VUCA, but I think the way it has been implemented and it has come into practice after the pandemic, envisaging the pandemic phase, I think that has been phenomenal. The need for reskilling, upskilling, learning fast, moving ahead, adapting, that is more than ever required in the today's world. So yes, definitely we are moving to that space where digital capability, digital quotient takes the front seat, and we will have to adapt to new ways of working, to new ways of interacting and coming together and working in this space.
Like to add something there to what Rashmi said is that the pandemic has very effectively pushed the learning curve for both the organization as well as for the workforce. Because while the corporates have to learn to deal with the workforce, the supervision, the teamwork, the delegation, the leadership that they have to provide, the empathy that they have to show towards their teams, all of that is a new learning, because at the end of the day you don't have physical people in front of you, which is always a more comfortable way of communicating. Here you have remote people working at the end of a spectrum of a phone a phone instrument. And as rightly said by most of my panelists here, the home is not the most conducive of workplaces, and the pressures at home are always going to be there. You can't wish them away. So I remember in one of the webinars and in one of the conferences that we had recently with the workforce in my startup company, we actually said that it's absolutely perfectly normal for your children to be running across. So please don't try stopping them. Because if you have a conference call going on for 3 hours, I mean, you can't really box up a 3 or 4 year old who's known to run around in a small space and be able to explain why mama or daddy can't be pulled out from a chair for all that matter of time. As long as you put the mute button on, it should be fine. So, there are these new norms which have to be learned on both sides. I think the expectations have to be tempered with. The experiences have to be redefined, because the way HR and the way management used to actually approach the whole game of, how to onboard, how to recoup, how to measure performance, all of that will obviously be under different pressures and will have to be looked at very differently. So the learning curve by far is probably under the biggest challenge thanks to this pandemic.
Absolutely. And executives have started saying that coronavirus has accelerated trends already changing the workplace. Hot desking, open plan shared spaces, flexible hours, and use of technology to enable working from home has really come up. I mean, this is a new revolution, I should say, that we have all of us have witnessed after the pandemic.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, my next question for Runa ma'am. As travel of all kinds is halted, telecommuting is adopted at scale, and companies attempt to cut costs and balance their budgets. And we believe now business trips as we know them, we will be a thing of the past. So, ma'am, is it a right to say it could be the end of business travel as we know it, ma'am? Over to you, ma'am, Runa ma'am.
Thanks, Shivani. A very thought-provoking question, I would say, because it's a coincidence that my husband runs a mice company.
Oh, great.
So I have been watching, the kind of effort he and his colleagues are making, and fortunately could be part of a lot of conversation which they are having globally. Who all have come up as stakeholders in the travel, then I'll come to business travel. So considering, hoteliers who are part of the whole, I would say initially they just suffered, but they are very coming with innovative ideas. I will also share a few of them. Second stakeholder is definitely the airlines. Aviation has undergone humongous change, and we are looking at daily news either from HR perspective or business perspective, how things are changing for airlines and many organizations like if we say fintech companies, e-commerce companies, and many such sectors which are related to this industry, like American Express. They're the first one to come out with, a card which is going to be used for payment. So that's why I mentioned fintech. Then we are talking about various e-commerce like Make My Trip, Yatras. They all became online and made it convenient for all of us to take our whole process of travel in a very, very simplified manner. Now, what has changed? The impact here, we are talking about business travel for, corporate. Why not others? That is also something we should talk. Even I know that as a consultant, I also travel a lot, not only in India, also overseas. So it is impacting me, my work, and my entire work environment. So all segments of people are getting impacted because of decision. But interestingly, as I always say, necessity is mother of innovation. So if I look at how my husband's company moved, they quickly moved from their travel support application through app. Now they're virtual. In fact, today he's busy. He's not at home and he's actually handling an AGM of an organization. Okay, and that's virtually. So most of the work has now moved to virtual, and the studios they have created, the whole environment they have created, giving that, again, I'll reflect on Lavkesh's thing about a personal touch. Yes, we don't have personal touch, but at the same time, we do have some new way of working, which is very interesting. And that is where people are getting excited. They feel innovation is supporting them. They're coming out with new ways of doing stuff. One thing for sure is going to be hugely impacted, that loads of us are, when we work in office, look for a break. We want to leave, and when we take long leave, we definitely go for family time out, especially once a year or twice a year. I think that's getting impacted. But business trips have started already. People are definitely traveling, considering the social distancing, but that has to be again supported by the whole ecosystem, like hotels and places to eat, because when you travel, you don't have home food to support. So are we seeing enough restaurants? But yes, e-commerce is definitely have grown manyfold during this time. So another set of new roles have come up there. So people are looking at how do we create that overall ecosystem for us before we jump into the point and say, yeah, we are all ready for business travel. Yes, we can. It will never be normal. So this is normal. Rather, what we say normal is the past. New normal, new has gone. So this is normal, and we are moving towards a new working environment. And in fact, I would also like touch upon another point. When I was listening to my, the conversations my husband had with global organization, which are into managing mice. They were talking about coming out with new places, new ways of doing things, and also some, locations, some continents which is not pandemic affected. So what is it it's telling us? That it's not that even if we globally got impacted, there's still rays of hope. There are still places which locations are actually fine, clean, working fine. So what is it we are going to do to interface with those locations? I think there are many such new stuff coming out. And answer is simple. I think I gave a little long answer to give you a lot of consideration around travel. But when you said that, the question was simple, that okay, what how it is impacting work and business travel, I think people completely understand that travel is risky. And you again look into minimalistic affairs. Try your best, unless you really have to. Even sales organizations, sales intervention are changing, like considering how customer service interface changed. I mean, when I mentioned about outsourcing, the first thing was customer service. Customer service. I mean, the first point of customer interaction where you try to give delight. If that can to teleworking, that change to teleworking. Now sales is also moving to teleworking. Now there are certain definitely. Segments which still requires physical presence, but look at the innovative ways of managing that. Look at the way things are now becoming maybe the framework which possibly we ourselves have to start looking into and take into consideration. Yeah, hope I
Noona,
answered.
I have to add to here because, Shivani, my own startup company right now is in the business of transportation. And at the start of the pandemic, we were really badly hit. Let me explain what transportation. We provide fleet of vehicles to all large business houses. It's a B2B business, and it is completely enabled through apps, and it is completely on software. So as clients, we have Chromosome, we have Amazon, we have PwC, we have Hindustan Levers, all the big ones. And everything said and done, business travel cannot be wished away. Let me tell you that. The only thing, the biggest thing that happened once the pandemic started was a scare. The scare was that if I were to travel in a four-wheeler, whether it was a Merc or whether it was an Indigo or whether it was, a smaller car, would it be equipped enough to be able to make it pandemic safe or COVID safe, as we called it? So there was a nice dialogue, as Runa beautifully put it, that, you know, her husband's company went into dialogue with global players across on MICE. We went into a dialogue with a lot of transport people at the back end, as well as with our customers in the front end, to develop a model whereby we would make sure that the vendors would fall in line and provide COVID equipped fleet, so that the vehicular traffic that would move into my client space would all be provided with that assurance. And that is how our contracts were renewed and everything started moving back to normal. Yes, it's definitely a fact that if there were 100 travels happening in a particular span of time, probably it's got cut down to a 50 or a 40 now, and it is going to gradually go up as the scene moves forward. But having said that, it's not something that can be wished away. And rightly said by Runa, there's innovation that has to be there. There has to be different ways of doing work, because the entire, you can't wish away the whole platform of commercial enterprise. And as long as commercial enterprise is existing, every other factor would be in place. You'll just have to address them in different ways. Thank you.
Right, and to what Devjani and Runa said, you know, corporate travel teams are now continually also monitoring public information from organizations like WHO and CDC, so that they can communicate timely updates to their employees. Most firms are taking a case-by-case approach where travel decisions are made by employees and their managers after consulting the WHO and CDC recommendations for their destinations. If the decision to travel is positive, travel teams are focusing on assessing the safest routes of travel for their employees.
I think I would like to add that, you know, like Make My Trip changed his perspective. And I was listening to Yuvraj in another webinar. They're coming out big new ways to address their customer requirement, all on digital space. Similarly, Devjini mentioned beautifully about logistics. So consider now the, besides e-commerce, edutech, BFSI, or IT/ITES sector, which is growing. One sector which is growing definitely with new jobs, new roles, new environment is SCM, which is supply chain management. And that is where probably a lot of innovation is happening. New roles are coming up. In fact, typically, if you consider the ecosystem created by new sector, which is a big way coming up, is on BCP, DRP, and BRM. So what is happening in business continuity plan, disrupt this disaster recovery plan, and business risk management companies are coming up. So they are going to create such a work environment possibilities for us. And Rashmi also talked about usage of AI, ML, and Devjini also mentioned about it. So once we are actually going to big time impact this VUCA world of current ambiguity, so we will definitely see a complete, now we are going to actually use the paradigm shift. I think over the period of time we heard a lot of paradigm shifts when we had demonetization, we had this new outsourcing world coming up. This is real paradigm shift when we are going to completely think differently, and our ability to stretch our mind and be innovative is going to see that as a new normal environment, and we are going to forget this as a different era.
Right, and I'm not sure how many of us have really heard about Global Business Travel Association. So this is an association which keeps on monitoring, conducting a lot of research work, polls, etc. So according to a new GBTA poll, around 62% of organizations say that they have modified their travel safety and security policies for their travelers, and 55% of respondents reported that their company has instituted new trip approval procedures. So non-essential,
yeah, Rashmi, see that, we are all forgetting this particular aspect of, cost savings has been there since long. And even the business travel, in case you talk about, I've been personally, because it's been 30 years or in the industry, I personally, exercised a lot of policies where we have to cut travels, and even from moving from a business class to economy class. And wherever first of all, it all depends business to business. As Runa ma'am just now explained that, there are certain industries which cannot run away from the business travel. So obviously there are industries, there are kind of in a business which cannot run away from physical traveling, which is there by must. And since ages, which is again I'm not telling you, because the policy cutting down the business travel is there already in the industry. Now during this pandemic situation, what we have seen is the compulsion for few people who wanted to travel, but they cannot travel, they couldn't travel because of this particular problem of getting this disease onto them. So let's strict that business travel wherever is required and will be done and will have to happen. I don't know. I mean, that's my view.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for a wonderful experience, whatever you have shared. Now, last question for Lovekesh sir. As professional juggles those demands of work life and home life, all in the same place, many employers have relaxed rules about workers starting and ending their days at a set time. So, standard 9 to 5 office hours could become a thing of the past, as we already have flexi office timings, but not everywhere. So, sir, what is your opinion about it?
See, as I started with that, 9 to 5 has been something like the productivity. You talk about, in case I'm from an HR, means virtually seeing the productivity is not more than 40, 50, 60% at the most. Now, what we've been personally experiencing that since this pandemic situation, the productivity has gone up by 110, 120%. And from an employee standpoint, obviously 9 to 5 has never been the 9 to 5. It starts maybe 8 in the morning or ends up 7 or 8 in the evening. So, this is something which is people are learning. I'm not saying this is a bad phase. This is a good phase. People have had kind of a lot of expectations, a lot of new learnings that people earlier were skeptical. I've seen the companies who were earlier even giving work from home policy, say twice a month or thrice a month type. So it's not the new thing. Now people by force have now started working from home. As I said that in the first lockdown 1.0, people actually enjoyed working from home. They didn't mind basically working little for long. Now when the situation came and they become a habit, now it's becoming a compulsion. And the few companies like TCS, and I just heard that Infosys even just announcing work from home, say for another 2 years. So people by and large will need to come out with the new policies. But wherever the physical touch, as I did mention, because people need little touch and they need to come out. Obviously the physical body, and there are so many things, people remaining at home and they're getting involved into the home activities. The work life balancing is there, but at what cost? So somewhere it's a good, somewhere it is bad. So we have to balancing it out and see how the situation will basically work, and the work life balancing, my opinion.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes, it's a really learning phase. Now, I would like to invite Miss Michelle. Michelle, would you have any questions for our panelists?
Yes, Shivani, I definitely have a question, but I guess this is a time where we can start the poll first. And I request each and everyone to go with the poll. I am just launching the poll.
Okay.
So here is the poll.
Hmm.
And I request everyone, our polling question is, what do we miss more about the office while working from home? Right now, we all are talking about the home, the policies and the things which our speakers have shared. So which is something amazing, but I would request each and everyone, please select the appropriate response and click submit. It looked like 42% of participants have responded. Those who have not yet responded, please go ahead and submit your response now, and we will close the poll in a few minutes. Rather, I would say moment. I request each and every participant to please cast your vote so that we'll get to know what exactly is the status. 47% of participants have responded. Let's go above 60%. 52% is already there. I request all the panelists also to cast the vote.
Already done that.
$57. Okay, we are now closing the poll. Let me share the result with everyone. It looked like majority of the person responded professional atmosphere. Any views on this professional atmosphere, sir, ma'am?
I think I also voted for that. I personally miss a lot, even if as a business professional, I work at client site most of the time. But I remember just last week, one of the client they were actually in office and they said, "Runa, would you like to join us?" And kind of avoided. I have a 90-plus-year-old father-in-law, so I said, "No, I will not take the risk." But and they took me on Zoom call, and there was a fun activity happening, and I saw pizza arriving and a lot of good stuff arriving. I said, "Wow, this is what I'm missing." So it's that engagement element. It's not the work. We also have break time. Even if I remember one of the clients CEO said, "Hey guys, don't take too much fag breaks." Because that is also where you should have to maintain the social distancing, where people normally huddle, and they kind of forget that this is a different atmosphere. I think and also for one activity, the multiplication which has happened, maybe many times the coordination part which we have to do probably to get one decision, that is actually a fatigue. Because we just say, walk up to the room and say, "Hey guys, let's go to the conference room, let's thrash it out." I think those kind of stuff, coordination on the call, and also email and all digital environment, which is enabling, all right, but I think the speed sometime is also getting impacted. So it is not purely the social part of it, it is also the process of decision making, the whole gamut of communication, connecting. I think these all are things I'm sure we are all missing.
I would also like to add to that. I think I also very much support that professional environment is what we miss most. I voted for that too. I think this entire process of what we consider in the human space as basic socialization, which is what used to characterize the workplace, and all the theories that we've till date been talking about in terms of culture building, creating the right environment, making the pulse move at a pace where everyone, people are of different kinds, but when you have a melting pot, that melting pot used to be the office space where people from different kind of backgrounds used to come together and sort of throw their throw their their vagaries and their vanities all into the workplace, and assume a certain amount of homogeneity in that space. I'm sure Lavkash ji, especially in a company like an HCL Tech, which is like an ocean. I mean, when I was there, 27,000 people across 30 countries. I used to wonder how the hell does it get managed. Those are the kind of things which help you reinstate your belief in the value of human touch and human feel and human management. Otherwise, all these theories would be just left for nothing. But at the same time, yes, we are progressive individuals. We are professionals first. We need to look at what's the real need of the hour and what works best for us. So I'm sure even an HCL Tech or anybody for that matter, even people who are sitting right at the top are thinking about how to get this model right, and how we can move from one area of productivity to a higher level of productivity with same security. But couple of things I feel are stretched today. I had mentioned about learning. I think leadership is stretched. So professional environment, while we say that we are missing it, the other side of that coin is that leadership is thoroughly stretched. The qualities that the leaders need to adapt today are not the same as it used to be when we were in an office space with people present there. So how do you remote and how do you communicate in the same way? How do you motivate? The entire employee experience has to shift from an engagement to a completely different perspective. So that, I think, is something which is a very large challenge. And this entire professionalism, how to bring that into this new normal or this new kind of working is the biggest challenge of all, according to me.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's a wonderful review, and we are just short with the time. So instead of I ask a question, I just want to raise a question from Pankaj Sharma, from a participant who wants to ask a question to Rashmi, ma'am. How do you see the role of AI and technology in the coming time? I guess Rashmi has already answered a lot about this AI and technology. So if you give a quick review on that so that Pankaj would be able to relate to it.
Absolutely, Pankaj. So AI and technology is going to be the fulcrum driving all the transformation in this era. You know, this takes a complete front seat. This has become an essential skill, I must say. There are so many organizations which are mandating, in cohorts, the understanding in terms of the digital transformation that is happening within the organization. So the quotient of people in terms of the entire digital literacy, which encompasses AI, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and all the other peripheral technologies together. So that has actually become the norm of the day. You need to be digital. Your digital quotient needs to be high in case if you want to thrive in the upcoming world. And a lot of things are going to be driven by the understanding and the predictive modeling, so to say, because everything would be data centric now. Everything, it's more of analysis that is going to happen around the touch points, the digital touch points. So definitely, yes, it is the most important in the current day now and the world.
Thank you so much, Rashmi, for this review. I want to ask one question to all the panelists, which I'm unable to control my curiosity. One big thing, if you remember, that happened during the 2008 global financial crisis is that organization pulled out all sorts of layers of middle management, which actually makes it harder to get promoted workers were not promoted to middle management roles as frequently, since so many were eliminated during the recession.
Right.
It is possible we may see a similar dynamic post-pandemic.
I think, Michelle, the first thing we have to be little hierarchyless. So let's not worry about who's getting promoted to what role. I think the most important part, what are the new roles, new skills are required now? Let's move the whole needle towards that typically even we are talking about here AI, ML, its history. Look at the new roles. I already mentioned about the sector like EHS sector is coming up big way. We look at the space being used, whether it's airspace or land space or ocean. So are we actually looking at this? Then we are also looking at engineering is changing. Plants will always be there because you have to manufacture, but the whole gamut of manufacturing is changing. Are we then, of course, so we have to, when you talk about digitalization, the analyst role for last decade we are discussing. What is most important is the subject matter expertise. Let's look at Nokia as an organization. There are many such examples where McKinsey for that matter, they don't care about such kind of designations or promotions. What is important for them is job enhancement. What kind of role we are taking, how we are impacting the business, how we are actually contributing to the bottom line. I think the mindset has to change. Rather than start reflecting on past, let's stop reflecting. The era has changed. I think for 2000 till 2019 we are going to look at as almost stone age. Let's do 2020 is actually a stagnation period. 2021 is going to be the beginning of a new foundation, because if you look at all the consideration of the organization, no magic wand will be used in December or January. It will be a growth, a different growth. That is where we have to probably put our mind rather than reflecting in the past and trying to consider and compare and go forward.
Yeah, see, I second
Just
the
to
opinion
add,
with Rona because
yeah.
see, Michelle, first of all, it's been very hard for me even to explain the workforce that there is a difference between the promotion, like, moving from one level to the another. Role is what is more important, one should consider, because the more you grow in the role, the, designation will come and go. So you need to understand. I know where are you coming from. We have had the kind of discussions earlier on to this particular thing. So
Yes.
always be greedy to the role. When you at least grab the opportunity to be the more productive in terms of the role, that should give the self motivation to you.
Thank you so much for this wonderful view. Over to you, Shivani. I guess we are short with the time and we have left with another webinar section that calls as Let's Have Fun. So Shivani, over to you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Now it's a fun session round, last round, right? So I request panelists to speak while participants can use chat box option in the meantime. So first question, what's the closest thing to real magic? Any participant who would like to answer? I repeat my question, what's the closest thing to real magic?
It is actually a fun-based section wherein everyone can speak. All the panelists, they all have to give one answer, what is there, and it's a quick rapid round, so it has to be fast. And it is for all the audience as well. You can participate with a chat option. Quickly.
So to me, real magic is every time I travel, because a new world unfolds before me. I'm a travel freak. These 5 months have been terrible. I've been actually feeling like a jailed bird. And I'm going to very soon take my first post-COVID-19 travel on the 15th of August. I'm looking forward to it. I think every time I travel and I come across the new world with new people, meeting new things, understanding new culture, it's magic to me.
Wow.
Okay, next question. Where's the worst smelling place you have been?
Which is the?
Where's the worst smelling place? Worst.
Smelling place.
What?
Yeah, smelling place. Worst.
Which is the worst smelling place you have recently visited, to all of you?
Wash basin in an airport.
Fantastic.
The washrooms
What
in an
about
airport.
Luna, ma'am, Rashmi and Lavkesh sir?
Hard to recollect. Difficult question. Pass.
I'm sorry, I'm a cleanliness freak. So if
Yeah.
I think this is a very irrelevant question for me.
Me
Yeah,
too.
they-
It's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, move on to next question. Invisibility or super strength? Anyone? Come on, quick.
Ability.
super strength.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
How sweet. I want to be Dr.
Two
Dolittle.
animals.
Yeah. Eddie Murphy.
Okay. Next question. Why can't we tickle ourselves?
Why can't
Why
we?
can't we tickle
Why
ourselves?
can't we tickle ourselves? Yeah.
Oh, I can.
Wow.
I would like to ask this question, especially from Lavkesh sir. Are women complicated?
Oh my
Ah,
God.
well,
Think,
absolutely not.
please think all the
Absolutely
panelists
not.
are women. All the panelists are
Absolutely
women.
not.
Back home.
And I'm his ex-boss.
Yes.
He has to go back home still.
So I can't dare to say like that, but yes, I respect women from the bottom of my heart.
So sorry, ma'am, Shivani ma'am, I'm cutting you here. And this question belongs to all women also. All the panelists.
You
Are
have to
women
say that. Why are you being so sexist? It comes you have to say. And I tell you, women are the most complicated and convoluted characters on this earth. If they want
My
to
God.
make life simple, they can make it beautiful for people. But
I think Michelle,
break up a
is it-
storm, we are the best at it. Please take it from me.
Michelle, this
I
is a
have
nice
an
topic.
OCD about this. I can't think everything with men, women being, and now I'm gender agnostic. So it doesn't appear to me why we have to talk in anything with gender being consideration.
I agree.
Fantastic, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay,
Last
ma'am.
question. Say something cool.
Sorry?
This
something cool.
webinar was so cool.
Yeah.
Well, yes, definitely.
Fantastic, Runa ma'am.
Right.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Rashmi ma'am, you should also participate.
Yeah.
She's getting fatigued. She participated so much in the beginning.
Agreed. Rashmi ma'am, say something cool.
We rock. Together we win.
Yes, together we rock. Fantastic.
Yeah, lovely. No,
Great.
but I think one of the coolest things was meeting some old friends and some
Yes.
new ones all over again.
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
nothing gives me personally more pleasure than that. So I'm very happy to have caught up with Michelle and Runa, of course, and new friends in Rashmi, in Lavkesh ji, as well as in Shivani. So
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, ma'am.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Sunday
Hate
afternoon.
the feelings.
Same goes from us. Same goes.
Same feelings, ma'am. Thank you
Yes.
so much. Pleasure. Over to you, first of all, Shivani.
Thank you all the panelists, and thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. The end of the office will be ever go back. If you have any other question, please contact Ms. Michelle Khanna at info@l2sworld.in and also at the l2world.outlook.com. We are also coming up with another series by next week, and same would communicate to you via WhatsApp or social channels. You can WhatsApp us to our number, that is 935-489-4902. For further series of webinars, certificate and participation would be provided to all students and freshers. For today's webinar, I request all the students who have not registered and participated in today's webinar, either through Zoom or Facebook, kindly drop us an email stating your participation for certification at info@l2sworld.in. You will also receive a certificate email within a 24 to 48 hours within a link to view a recording of today's webinar. We would appreciate if you would provide your feedback on our social channels. You can find our account on our social platforms like YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter by the name of L2S World. Over to you, Michelle.
Thank you so much. So on behalf of L2S Virtual Learning Connect by Letters to Success and our guest, Ms. Devjani ma'am, Runa ma'am, Lavkesh sir, Rashmi, thank you so much. And thanks a wonderful session we have here with lovely views and the lovely discussions we have. Your views could lead us, people like us who are professionals and looking every day what exactly we need to go. With your experiences, I must say that everyone has definitely enjoyed it. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Any things you want to say, please?
No, thank you, and have a lovely Sunday, whatever is left of it.
Thank you so very much, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us. Thanks.
Yeah,
Have a
thank
lovely
you.
day.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much. And thanks all the participants who have been initiated. Thank you. And thank you all.
Thank you.
Right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.